Have you ever noticed how someone can walk away from you with barely a thought? But the moment you're gone, the moment your presence is no longer theirs to rely on, chaos begins to consume them. This isn't revenge, it's clarity. When a woman loses a disciplined, focused, emotionally steady man, she doesn't just lose a partner, she loses her anchor, her mirror, her measure. She performs indifference, but the psyche keeps score. Psychology calls it cognitive dissonance. I'm fine collides with I can't replace him, and the truth grows louder in the silence. Your absence creates a vacuum, and vacuums never stay empty. They fill with chaos, regret, and longing. That's why confusion spirals not after losing any man, but after losing a rare one. Rarity imprints. Imprints return as echoes, and echoes become obsession. Start this journey now. Like and subscribe to Stoic Station to keep building calm, unshakable strength. Drop a 1 if you're choosing disciplined silence tonight. Drop a 2 if you feel the urge to reply and want a smarter plan. I read every comment. Tell me the exact moment you saw the mask of I'm fine start to crack. Stay. Next we expose why rarity breeds obsession and how your quiet becomes the loudest thing in the room. 1. The rare man. She thought was replaceable. Most men drift through a woman's life like background noise. Easy to forget, easy to replace. She believes she can lose them and keep walking without consequence. But every so often, a different kind of man appears, one who doesn't just love, but leaves a mark on her very sense of stability. You may have felt invisible after a breakup, quickly replaced, as if your presence never mattered. That belief crushes many men, but it's rarely the truth. Ordinary men are predictable and reactive, but a man with discipline, purpose, and emotional self-control doesn't blend in. He stands apart. At first, she can't see the difference. Pride whispers, he'll chase, he'll fold, he's like the rest. But human psychology craves what is rare. Lose a pebble, no one cares. Lose a diamond, and the mind begins to search, even when ego wants to stay still. Quiet strength, calm detachment, and self-respect leave an imprint she cannot erase. Rarity creates obsession, and the man who knows his worth doesn't need to prove it. His presence is unforgettable, and his absence impossible to ignore, and this is where her hidden journey truly begins. 2. When absence turns into chaos. Silence is never empty. It's a presence she cannot control. Many men break their own silence too soon because they assume nothing is happening, imagining she's unfazed, living happily without them. But what she shows and what she feels are not the same. At first, she may post pictures, laugh with friends, and project confidence, but deep inside, cracks begin to form. Psychology calls this cognitive dissonance. The battle between I'm happy without him and I can't replace him. Pride pushes one story, but the subconscious knows the truth. And truth, no matter how buried, always fights to surface. That tension breeds restlessness, nights spent scrolling through memories, silently comparing new men to you, wondering why no one feels the same. The stability you once brought is gone, and in its place grows chaos. A high-value man understands this storm is not his to fix. Silence isn't passivity, it's active self-respect. Your stillness becomes her unraveling, and the longer you hold it, the harder she struggles to rewrite the story you've already changed forever. 3. The slow, painful realization. Truth rarely strikes like lightning. It seeps in, slow, undeniable, and devastating. Regret doesn't appear right after she leaves because the mind delays emotional recognition. Weeks pass. A song, a familiar place, or a man who can't compare cracks her story of I'm fine. Then it hits. You're not coming back. The stability you gave is gone, and no substitute fills the void. This quiet collapse isn't your call to return. It's her battle alone. 4. The battle between ego and desire. Wanting to reach out yet being too proud to do so, this is the private war she fights long after the world assumes she's moved on. Many men misread her silence as indifference, believing she truly doesn't care, when in reality it's often pride choking on regret. Deep inside, a storm brews. One part of her longs to apologize, to admit she misjudged your strength and the quiet value you carried. Another part, the one built on ego and the illusion of control, refuses to surrender power. This tug-of-war is torture. She wants validation from the man she once thought would chase her, but admitting that need feels like defeat. For a woman who believed she held the upper hand, saying "I was wrong" is not just humbling, it's terrifying. That's why she often chooses indirect routes instead of vulnerability. She tests. A casual text out of nowhere, a like on an old photo you posted months ago, a small comment meant to provoke a reaction. Each one is a subtle probe, a way to measure if the door she slammed shut is still quietly open. These moves are not random. They are deliberate, calculated by a wounded ego trying to protect itself from the shame of regret. If you respond quickly or emotionally, it tells her she still has influence. If you rush to engage, the narrative she built, that you would fold under silence, stays intact. That is why so many men accidentally give their power back in this stage. They confuse testing for transformation. A man rooted in Stoicism does not bite. He doesn't lash out to prove he's unaffected, nor does he rush back to soothe her discomfort. He understands that her testing isn't love reawakened. It's her pride trying to regain control. Calm detachment sends a message louder than any argument. You have already moved beyond her reach. And that quiet strength does something no emotional outburst could ever achieve. It forces her to confront her own loss without an escape route. It's crucial to understand that this battle inside her is not an invitation for you to return. It's not a sign that the relationship has changed or that respect has been restored. It's the ego struggling to rewrite a story that no longer serves her. When you hold your silence, you allow that story to unravel on its own. When you stay grounded, you refuse to be pulled back into a cycle where pride dictates connection and respect is optional. This is one of the most dangerous turning points for men because it feels tempting to respond. You want to believe that her contact means growth, that regret equals change. But regret without humility remains ego, and ego cannot build the foundation you deserve. The real test isn't whether she reaches out. It's whether you have the discipline to stay unmoved when her desire collides with her pride. Recognize her signals for what they truly are, echoes of a wounded ego wrestling with the truth of your worth. Your power is in staying calm, patient, and firm. The man who understands this doesn't just survive heartbreak, he rises above it. Because while she battles herself, you stand free, no longer seeking validation, no longer trapped in a game you've already won. And this silent mastery is what begins to transform regret into lasting respect, though it may come too late for her to reclaim what she lost. 5. The power of true detachment. Anger is still connection. Indifference is freedom. Many men believe that walking away must be loud, filled with anger, revenge, or desperate attempts to prove their worth. Yet that noise keeps them tied to the very thing they're trying to escape. The man of real value walks away differently. He understands a timeless Stoic truth. Freedom begins where control ends. He doesn't announce his pain. He doesn't try to make her regret her choice. He simply steps out of the game. This confuses her at first. She expects rage, tears, or pleading, anything that would prove she still matters. But calm detachment denies her that power. Indifference terrifies the human ego because it cannot be manipulated. You can argue with anger and reason with love, but you cannot move someone who has quietly accepted what is beyond his control. Your detachment is not coldness, it's clarity. It's the moment you stop trading dignity for attention and begin living from self-respect. And this is why your silence cuts deeper than any words. It isn't just absence, it's undeniable proof of mastery. The man who detaches becomes untouchable, and this is where the balance of power silently shifts forever. 6. The shock of permanent absence. At first, she believes your absence is only temporary, that you'll cool off, that you'll circle back like every other man who once promised strength, but broke when loneliness hit. This assumption comforts her ego. It allows her to feel safe in the belief that she still holds the invisible strings. But time has a way of breaking illusions, and when absence stretches past the point she expected, something inside her begins to unravel. Human beings bond through routine. Every good morning text, every call to check in, every quiet moment of support builds neural pathways of comfort and reward. You became a consistent source of emotional dopamine, a rhythm she leaned on without even realizing it. When that rhythm suddenly stops, the brain rebels. It's not just an emotional void, it's withdrawal. Anxiety creeps in, restlessness grows, and no amount of distractions can fully soothe it. She will try. New men will enter the picture. Parties, scrolling, travel, anything loud enough to drown out the silence. But silence has a way of outlasting noise. It doesn't need to shout or demand attention. It simply exists, unbending, undeniable. Unlike anger, silence cannot be argued with. Unlike love, it cannot be negotiated. Each day that passes without a message, without a return, transforms what she thought was a pause into something permanent, and permanence hits harder than any fight could. This is where your discipline matters most. Many men mistake absence for passivity, but real absence is an active choice, a decision to honor your worth rather than beg for validation. It's refusing to feed an ego that once underestimated you. It's saying, without words, I know my value, and I won't trade dignity for attention. That decision forces her to face a truth she cannot escape. She miscalculated. She believed you were like the rest, that you would eventually return to prove your love. But you didn't. And in that stillness, she must now confront the cost of her choices, a cost no apology or rebound can repay. For a woman's ego, this is devastating. It's not just the loss of a person, it's the loss of control, the collapse of a narrative she built to protect herself. And yet, for the man who chooses detachment with strength, this is not about revenge, it's about freedom. It's about stepping out of a cycle where your value depends on someone else's recognition and reclaiming the quiet power to walk away and mean it. Every day you remain steady, her illusion crumbles a little more. Silence, held with dignity, becomes undeniable proof of self-respect. And when the shock of your permanent absence finally settles in, it doesn't just shake her. It transforms you, because you've proven that a man who knows his worth doesn't return to be tolerated. He walks on to be truly valued. 7. Regret, introspection, and the man you've become. When the noise finally stops, the mirror appears. After all the distractions fade, the parties, the scrolling, the new faces meant to fill the void, she is left alone with herself. And in that silence, regret enters. It doesn't arrive as an explosion. It slips in quietly, like a shadow she tries to ignore. At first, it's just a whisper. What if I had been more patient? What if I had respected the stability he brought instead of chasing chaos? But whispers have a way of growing louder when there's nothing left to drown them out. Over time, those small questions become a deafening chorus she cannot silence. This is the stage where she can no longer pretend the loss was trivial. Regret is not simply about losing you, it's about why she pushed away something good in the first place. It's about recognizing the pattern she has avoided confronting for years. In the quiet, she is forced to face what her pride has cost her, not just a relationship, but security, respect, and the rare presence of a man who stood firm when others crumbled. And then comes introspection, the part most people fear. It's not just sadness, it's the painful excavation of self. She begins to analyze her own choices, and the questions cut deep. Why did I chase drama over peace? Why did I confuse kindness with weakness? Why did I believe love could survive my pride? These aren't easy questions, because answering them means admitting that the problem wasn't just circumstance, it was her. For someone who built an identity on being in control, the truth feels like an earthquake. Yet here lies a dangerous trap for many men. Seeing her regret can awaken old feelings. It's tempting to believe that her pain equals transformation, that because she now sees your worth, she has changed enough to honor it. But regret and change are not the same. Regret is about the past. Transformation is about the future. One looks backward in sorrow, the other moves forward in growth. And many men fall because they mistake tears and longing for readiness. They go back hoping things will be different, only to find themselves in the same cycle of disrespect and disappointment. A man rooted in Stoicism understands this difference. He doesn't feed on her pain, but he doesn't try to heal it either. Her regret is not his to fix. It's her own lesson to carry. He can witness it with calm detachment, respecting her humanity without sacrificing his dignity. The Stoic man knows that self-respect is not conditional on someone else finally waking up. It is built on understanding what is within his control, his boundaries, his actions, his choices, and refusing to be pulled back into a dynamic that once stripped him of peace. This detachment is not cruelty, it's clarity. It's the realization that her journey of regret and self-reflection belongs entirely to her. You didn't cause her to undervalue you. You simply refused to remain where you were not valued. And in walking away, you showed strength that most men never find. That strength is what forces her to look inward now, to analyze her ego, her decisions, and the story she told herself when she thought you'd always be there. But understand this, her introspection, however deep, is not a guarantee of change. People can understand their mistakes and still repeat them. They can feel remorse without developing the discipline to live differently. Regret may inspire a moment of vulnerability, a message asking for forgiveness, or a tearful confession. But if those feelings are not matched by humility and growth, they are simply emotions, and emotions fade. That's why this stage requires your highest level of self-mastery. You must resist the urge to see her pain as validation to return. True power lies not in proving that she wants you back, but in knowing you don't need to go back to be whole. A high-value man doesn't let nostalgia or her sudden recognition rewrite his standards. He can acknowledge her regret, even empathize with it, while staying rooted in his own progress. By now, you've walked a long road. You've endured silence when it felt heavy. You've held your frame while your emotions begged you to reach out. You've built a new rhythm for your life that doesn't depend on her validation. And this is where many men discover the deepest truth of Stoicism. Freedom isn't found when someone returns. It's found when you no longer need them to. Her regret may elevate you in her mind. It may turn you into the standard she now measures other men against. That is powerful, but it is not a reason to surrender the strength you've built. Because what truly matters isn't her comparison. It's the man you've become in the process of letting go. The calm, the discipline, the ability to walk away and mean it, the self-respect that cannot be shaken by whether someone finally understands your worth. And this realization is where the journey turns. What once felt like loss has transformed into liberation. You are no longer the man hoping to be chosen. You are the man who chooses himself. You no longer cling to validation. You embody dignity. And as you stand in that power, you understand why the Stoics taught. We suffer not from events, but from the meaning we attach to them. The breakup wasn't just pain, it was the teacher that shaped your strength. So when she finally sits in regret, replaying every moment, questioning every choice, remember this. Her pain is proof of your value, not a demand for your return. Your growth is not a bargaining chip. It's the foundation of the life you now live. Respect her journey, but do not abandon your own. Let her regret stay where it belongs, in the past she created, while you continue forward with unshakable composure. Because this is the quiet victory no one sees, becoming a man who no longer needs to be reclaimed. You don't wait for her to realize what she lost. You rise beyond needing her recognition at all. That is the power of self-mastery. That is the reward for choosing dignity over desperation. And it's this strength, not anger, not revenge, that makes you unforgettable long after she finally understands the truth. 8. The final truth. Freedom is the real victory. There is a moment in every man's journey when the silence shifts, not for her, but for you. When she finally stops reaching, stops hoping, and accepts that she cannot pull you back, her journey ends. But yours, brother, is only beginning. This is where men often get confused. They think the victory lies in being missed, in seeing her regret, in knowing she still longs for what she lost. But that is not freedom. That is still a form of attachment, waiting for her pain to give you meaning. The real triumph is far deeper. It is the quiet, unshakable strength of a man who no longer needs her recognition to validate his worth. Most men mistake being longed for as power. They linger at the edge of her regret, hoping it means something more, that her pain will rewrite the story, that her sadness proves their value. But if you build your sense of self on being missed, you're still chained to her decisions. You are still looking outward to measure your worth. And that is not where freedom lives. Freedom begins the moment you realize that love without respect isn't love worth keeping, and self-worth isn't something anyone can give or take away. You didn't walk away to wound her, you walked away to honor yourself. That is the essence of the Stoic man. He understands that a relationship without respect will slowly destroy his dignity, and no amount of affection is worth the slow death of self. You chose to hold the line, to step out of a dynamic where your peace was being traded for someone else's ego. That decision, though painful, marked the beginning of your true power. And make no mistake, her acceptance that she cannot reach you doesn't mean she has found peace. She may look calm on the surface, but nights are long and quiet is honest. In the stillness, memories return uninvited. The truth cuts. She let go of something priceless. She gambled that you would break, that you would crawl back, that your love would outweigh your self-respect. Instead, you stayed silent. You didn't chase. You didn't rage. You didn't prove. You simply moved on. And that calm, that refusal to collapse, is what burns the deepest. But here's where your focus must shift. Her suffering is not your power. Her regret is not your trophy. A man who builds his strength on someone else's pain is still fragile, because his value depends on their response. Stoicism teaches a higher path, that true strength is self-contained, independent, free. You didn't walk away to make her suffer. You walked away to reclaim your own life. And that's what makes this moment so powerful. You're no longer reacting to her story, you're writing your own. Think about what it really means to embody freedom. It's not about cold indifference or bitterness, it's about clarity. You know what you control, your mind, your actions, your standards, and you know what you don't, her choices, her timing, her regret. You have stopped wasting emotional energy trying to rewrite a chapter that's already closed. Instead, you've turned inward, rebuilt your strength, and stepped into a future that isn't defined by being chosen, but by choosing yourself. Freedom feels different than revenge. Revenge wants to be seen. Freedom doesn't care if it's noticed. Revenge says, "Look at what you lost." Freedom says, "I am whole whether you see it or not." And that is what makes it so powerful and so terrifying to those who once underestimated you. A man free from the need for external validation is untouchable. He cannot be manipulated, guilted, or baited back into chaos. This doesn't mean you stop feeling. Stoicism is not about becoming numb, it's about becoming unshaken. You will still remember her at times. There may still be echoes of love, moments of nostalgia, fragments of what was once good. But those feelings no longer control you. They arise, you acknowledge them, and they pass. That's emotional mastery. That's living aligned with the wisdom of the Stoics. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. And here's the deeper truth. Freedom isn't just about leaving her behind. It's about stepping fully into the man you were meant to become. The man who builds, who grows, who sets his own standard and lives by it. The man who is not desperate to prove his worth because he knows it intrinsically. The man who can love without losing himself and walk away without losing his soul. That man is dangerous in the best way, rare, steady, and immune to manipulation. When you reach this place, her regret no longer defines you. Yes, she may think of you late at night. Yes, she may wish she had seen your value sooner. Yes, she may compare every man after you to the calm strength you carried. But none of that holds you hostage anymore. You don't need to hear "I'm sorry." You don't need the confession, the closure, the validation. You are already whole. You are already free. And ironically, it is this very freedom that makes you unforgettable. The man who does not beg to be chosen becomes the man she cannot forget. The man who chooses himself is the man who becomes a standard in her memory. But remember, that is not the goal. It is simply the natural result of living with self-respect. You didn't do it to haunt her. You did it to save yourself. This is why your silence is so much more powerful than any argument could ever be. Anger keeps you tied. Revenge keeps you invested. Proving your worth keeps you in her orbit. But calm detachment, that ends the game. It breaks the invisible thread that once gave her control. It's the quiet declaration that you are no longer playing. And when you stop playing, you win. Men who understand this stop chasing old wounds. They stop waiting for the text that says, "I was wrong." They stop checking if she's watching, if she's sorry, if she finally understands. Because understanding may come, and often does, but by then you've moved so far forward that it no longer matters. Her regret belongs to her story, not yours. This is the freedom the Stoics spoke of. To stand firm in your dignity no matter who stays or leaves. To build a life so full of purpose that no one person's choice can derail it. To love fully when love is met with respect, and to walk away calmly when it's not. That is real strength. That is real victory. So if you find yourself here, past the chaos, past the longing, past the trap of hoping her regret will redeem the pain, take a deep breath. You've done what most men cannot. You've broken free from the need to be validated by someone who once underestimated you. You've reclaimed your peace, You've built a life beyond the shadows of someone else's choices. And now, your task is simple. Keep going, keep building, keep living as the man you became through this fire. Live a life of purpose, self-mastery, and calm strength. Love again if love comes, but never at the cost of your dignity. Stand firm in your boundaries. Guard your peace like it's the most precious treasure you own, because it is. Understand this clearly. The final truth is not that she regrets losing you. The final truth is that you are free, free from needing her approval, free from the cycle of being diminished, free from the fear of walking alone. And in that freedom lies your greatest victory, the kind no one can take away, the kind that doesn't depend on whether she looks back or not. So when she finally accepts she cannot reach you, remember, that's her ending, not yours. Yours is just beginning. You're not defined by her recognition, but by your own growth. You are not waiting to be claimed. You have claimed yourself. That is the triumph. That is the man you've become. And that is the power that will carry you into a future far greater than the past you left behind. Start this journey fully now. Build the life that once felt impossible when you were chained to needing someone else's love. Like and subscribe to Stoic Station if you're ready to live with unshakable self-respect and calm power. Drop a comment and share your thoughts. Have you reached the point where her regret no longer controls you? Because, brother, the moment you stop living to be missed and start living to be free, that is the day you truly win. Brother, let's step back and look at the whole picture with clear eyes. What I've been showing you isn't a story about revenge or proving a point. It's the path of reclaiming yourself. You've seen how most men fade quietly into the background because they are reactive, predictable, and easy to replace. You've seen how your silence, when held with discipline, doesn't mean weakness. It becomes a storm inside her world. You've watched how realization arrives late, how pride wrestles with desire, how testing is often just ego reaching for control. You've understood why true detachment cuts deeper than anger ever could, and how your steady absence forces her to face what she lost without giving her a way back into the old cycle. The message underneath it all is simple. You do not exist to be someone's safety net or backup plan. You exist to live with dignity, to hold boundaries, and to walk away when respect is gone. Stoic strength isn't about being cold. It's about knowing what's yours to control, your actions, your standards, your peace, and letting go of everything else. The life lesson here is clear. Value is not proven by chasing, begging, or waiting to be chosen. Value is lived. When you know your worth and refuse to trade it for attention, you stop losing yourself in someone else's story. You stop waiting for regret to heal you. You grow, you build, you move forward, and that quiet, unshakable freedom is what makes you unforgettable. Start this journey fully now. Like and subscribe to Stoic Station if you're ready to live with calm strength and unshakable self-respect. Drop a comment. Have you reached the point where her regret no longer defines your worth? The moment you stop living to be missed and start living to be free, that's the day you truly win. Start this journey now. Like and subscribe to Stoic Station if you're ready to live with unshakable dignity and never again hand your worth to someone who undervalues it. Drop a 1 if you've chosen calm detachment over chasing. Drop a 2 if tonight you're fighting the urge to break silence, but know it's time to hold the line. I read every comment. Share the moment you first felt your self-respect wake up and refuse to be bargained away. Stay, because mastering this quiet, stoic strength won't just change how you love. It will change how you lead your life, one disciplined choice at a time.